So let me see if I can get through this. This video is intended to go over my setup on how I play a warrior. It goes in line with my philosophy of trying to make playing a warrior a little more old school, not so much a button pushing class, but more of a class that is focused on the actual play, pulling a mob, tanking a mob, getting aggro, keeping your group up, without having to just constantly be pushing buttons like I do with my Shadow Knight or my Necromancer. This is the system. These up here is what I call the Warrior's Toolbox. It's just to help me, to guide me through explaining my system, make sure I cover kind of what needs to be covered. And you'll see what needs to be done, and you may not like how I do it, but it'll hopefully help you thinking about how you want to play a warrior. So the first thing they got here is Field Bulwark. That is a group AC buff. It's very important. It lasts for 12 minutes when you've maxed your AAs, and you want it up all the time. I deal with that in two ways. First, when I'm initially starting, I have this ready, set, go button. It activates Field Bulwark, Commanding Voice, which is a 10-minute buff, and Champion's Aura. You do not have to recast Champion's Aura once you've cast it, unless you die or something like that. It's a it should be a permanent buff. So that's initially how I deal with getting up. When I'm ready to start in a group, before I kill anything, I'll hit this button and it puts up Field Bulwark, Commanding Voice, and um, my aura, Champion's Aura. Let's see if we can move that over a little bit. Now, this expires every 10 minutes and 12 minutes, so you're going to have to remember to recast those whenever they fade. I prefer not to focus on remembering to recast it. So I have Field Bulwark and Commanding Voice in my mash line, and it just automatically recasts them far too often, but there's no thought process involved. Next is Vigorous Defense. Vigorous Defense is the warrior's key defensive discipline. You can have this up 24/7. It lasts a minute and 12 seconds. You need to recast it at that point. It refreshes every 12 seconds. So if you stop disc or switch to a different discipline, you can recast this within 12 seconds. How do I deal with this? Primarily, in my attack key, I'll start out with Disc Breather because you can't cast Breather if you're in combat. But if you're not in combat and you just have your Hourglass, you can cast it. And if you happen to be at below roughly, 20 some percent mana, 25% mana. So if you're below 25% of your endurance, sorry, mana, I'm used to playing a Necromancer. If you're lower than 25% of your endurance and you're not in combat, you can cast it. So you could just simply push this button, get it going, don't have to think about it. But say you are focused and you don't even notice you're below endurance. Well, every time you start your attack, it will cast this. I also use I pull with a range weapon. I don't attack with a range weapon. It's simply a pulling tool for me. And I use Warlord's Fury, which is its 200-foot range to pull. Warlord's Fury, Disc Breather, activate range, auto fire on, auto fire off, Bandolier activate duel. So it's a very quick way of and then I'm back to my dual weapon. And it will have told me a warning, you can't use breather because you are not at the endurance. Warlord's Fury, same thing. If I want to pull with Warlord's Fury, it's got Disc Breather in there to just automatically use it. That's the theory anyways. And this is, you can pull with this. throat jab is a -1 timer ability. The main reason you use it is it increases the time required for your target to cast their spells. Well, obviously that will lower their DPS. It refreshes every 15 seconds. It lasts 12 seconds. I have it in my mash line, and I have it here as a throat jab. Now, the abilities that go into this mash are non-aggro generating abilities generally. So if I'm in a non-aggro situation, like I'm off tanking, say I'm using my two-handed weapon, which by the way, when I use two-handed, I assume I am not tanking, so I automatically go into my top offensive disc. I am not, this is not a raid setup. I'm not saving my burns. I'm using my stuff. I'm using my toolbox 100% of the time if I can do it, because this is not a raid setup. It's not meant to be the best possible setting. So, and by the way, Brightfeld's Onslaught is the one offensive disc that I think gives you a real bump up in DPS, especially when you're using your two-handed weapon. You can heal yourself a lot if you've got vampiric draw. If that's down, then it will go to vigorous defense. And if for some reason vigorous defense is down, and that really is never going to be the case, except one exception I can think of, you'll have armor of Rolucian runes will go up. That's a trash defense for the most part for what we're doing when you're taking current mobs. I find vigorous defense with its extra AC is more effective than the runes. Um, Others may have a different opinion. I do not base my defense as a tank on armor of Rolucian runes. I do not intentionally use that except if I'm jammed up, and I really never get that jammed up. Same with Levin Crash. Defense discipline. This is a level 120 discipline. It's not been updated. The next expansion will update it. But certainly at this point, the fact that it can stun, it's only stuns up to level 118 mobs. We're attacking current contact. This is for a 125 warrior. It incites a little bit of hate. I never ever use this discipline. I can't think of a scenario where it would be right to use. When they've updated it and it's stunning current contact mobs, I might possibly put it back in the rotation. Mortivis Row, that's an aggro generator. Nice little bump of hatred every 6 seconds. It refreshes every 30 seconds. That, of course, goes into my mash line. Now, here's the thing. All of these here are aggro generating abilities. If I'm tanking with a two-handed weapon and I'm off tanking, I've got a guy who's main tanking and I don't want to steal aggro from him. That's kind of a nasty thing to do. It's not fun. I'm not going to make him fight for aggro. I'm going two-handed, so I'm going to do my maximum DPS, and I'm going to try not to generate extra aggro. So I'm not going to hit P is for Papa, which is my mash line key. I'm not going to hit that because I'm not trying to take aggro. I'm just going to pop mash and pops field bulwark. So the mash key, non-aggro generating abilities, field bulwark if I need to, if it goes down, and I will know if it goes down because I am using the in-game audio triggers. I chose to do this for the warrior because I'm trying to make this very chill, cool concept, old school feel. I'm not using Gyna. This is not a rating. And so I went ahead and created my own. I'm using my voice, which unfortunately is not.
Brace for impact fades.
The coolest, I probably get my wife to do these at some point because
Field
I like
armor
her voice
fades.
better.
Ecliptic shield fades.
These are warning when, like, I don't necessarily need to know this, but it'll let me know when my defenses are dropping. I don't need to know when climactic drops or vigorous defense drops because I can see that. That's a visible thing. No, this is, I want to know how fast end of the line is going down, how fast Roaring Shield is going down. Or if my invis starts to fade, I want to know that,
Invis is fading.
And so I am got essentially set up audio triggers for those few events. Most of the stuff I don't need audio triggers for. Let's see. Mortis roll, shield reflect. Okay, shield reflect is something that you are probably never going to need to use. It's a 100% chance to reflect one spell back. Um, it might be the third floor, I forget. There's a situation where there's a mob. It's sitting up. It's like a big old worm or sandworm, and it spits out something. And I know our group has died as a result of that. Not our group, but we've lost people. People are just standing there. Aggro goes, it spits. And so what I would do is put shield reflect up for 21 seconds. I do the pull. Hopefully he spits on me, reflects it back, And this would be maybe different characters, lower level. But it's there. It's shield reflect. Keep it in mind. You don't have to use it. Decisive strike is only usable when your mob's hit point is at 20% of its maximum power. It takes 35 seconds to reflect. It's a timer 9 device, and there are two timer 9 devices we use. I believe it's Divisive Strike and Infuriate. Infuriate is a great ability, generates a lot of aggro, and it comes every 30 seconds. On the other hand, Decisive Strike is a nice little DPS boost. If you'd like to use both, and what I have set it up is I have Decisive Strike in my mash line, and it will only trigger if the mob is at 20% health or left. And then I have Infuriate in my social mash hotkey. You can have one social mash hotkey in a mash line. If you have two social hotkeys, the one later in the chain will fire and the first one will not fire. And when you are setting up a mash line, you have to test everything because weird things happen. For instance, getting knee strike and gut punch to both work is not an easy ability. So what you want to do is you want to look at those. In this case, I shift 2. I put throat jab, shield rupture, knee strike, commanding voice, and decisive strike here. And infuriate. This should be infuriate. So let's pull up infuriate. Sorry, guys. This represents earlier experimentation. So you got this. I pick a mob, and then I hit Papa, P key, and look at, yeah, those are all triggered. Well, what about here? Yeah, it seems like they all triggered, but let's just hit it again. Okay, you notice taunt and kick is not triggering. Why is that? Because I'm too far from the damn mob. Now, taunt triggered, kick triggers. I have a little trick in here. Bash is on auto activate, so it goes off every time if I am wielding a shield. Kick will go off if bash is blocked, then kick will go off. Kick generally won't go off if I'm wielding a shield. I don't wield a shield that often, except if I'm doing hard stuff and the group has got the DPS taken care of. So, anyways, this is my mash line. It works. Let's continue to talk our way through this. I'm trying to show you my system. Infuriate. Spring Blades. This is up to 30 mobs. It is an area of effect damage. So I've got a key over here, which is AE damage. That's Warlord's Fury. I throw that in. Rampage, Disc Spiring Blades. So those are AE damage abilities. And then I have an AE taunt key, which is area taunt and wade into conflict. We'll get into that. Infuriate, spring. So flash of anger. Flash of anger gives you 6 seconds of essentially invulnerability. You can't be in two-handed stance. It won't work if that's the case. And it refreshes every 4 minutes. So it's use it. Use it whenever you need feel, like on incoming, feel free to hit that. So we go back to shift one. There's flash of anger. Activates dual weapons. Again, you can't use it in two-handed. In the off chance that I am in two-handed mode, it will switch me to dual. It doesn't matter if you're standard because for 6 seconds you're able to defeat able to withstand everything. If this stuff is down, it'll pull up a disc. So if I don't have a disc up, I'm hitting flash of anger. Obviously, I'm hitting it because I think I'm going to be needing to withstand some damage. So when I hit that, it will put up climactic stand. If climactic stand has been used recently, it will put up vigorous defense. The only time that you would get to armor of Relosian runes is if you did a stop disc situation and forgot that climactic was already down and you hit this flash and suddenly nothing's up. You can't, for 12 seconds you can't redo vigorous defense. Well, then armor of Relosian runes would come up. This is very much belts of senders. I don't think I've ever had Relosian runes really need to come up unless I was testing it. So that was flash. Wade into conflict. We already hit that. That is AE damage. No, that's AE taunt. Sorry, AE taunt. Very nice AE taunt. 1 minute until you've shouted 24 times. So when I need to get area of effect taunt, that's going on. Breather, we've discussed. I use breather, either manually hit it, but I've also put it into key social hotkeys to have it go off before I initiate combat. I don't like convalescence. That one has a 6 minute refresh rate. As a warrior, I don't need above 25% of my endurance. I'm not casting like a wizard or something, so I don't feel I prefer the much shorter refresh time of breather, which is a minute and a half versus 6 minutes. This gets you up to 25% versus 33%. I don't need to go to 33%. I can cast this 4 times. So I like breather. Roar of challenge, that's in my mash line, I believe. Yeah, Roar of challenge, it refreshes every minute. It's extra. It will lower the accuracy up to 3 nearby enemies, increase their hate review. That's a good thing as a warrior. And then we go back over to here. Eclectic Shield. You should know what that is. That's a nice big buffy shield. And I always have Blade Guardian up. I always have Brace for Impact up. If they go down and it pops, I refresh. These are pushed down on, whatever. But then I kind of decide what you like, but end of the line, Eclectic Shield, Warlord's Bravery. I hit these usually one at a time, but if I get scared, I start hitting everything. And so this is how I use Eclectic Shield. It's just the actual hotkey there. Nothing fancy at all. Just press it when I need this. All these blue abilities are, for the most part, to keep me alive. Shield is the one exception. That is the ability we have. If I'm targeting somebody, then it will shield whoever living PC I'm targeting. Otherwise, it drops down looking for whoever I'm grouped with as a healer. So I use this fairly often. I like to, it looks nice, and if your cleric starts taking damage, you'll be able to protect them. So we've come with breather, roar of challenge, unconditional attention. Beautiful, gives you 18 seconds of undivided attention. Now, when that expires, you want to make sure you keep aggro. The way I use it is I have this key here. So let's say I've taken these 3 combat dummies, X target 1, is the one in the middle, X target 2 is the one on the left, X target 3. So say I'm in a battle and suddenly we've got 3 ads and I just want to deal with them, then I might hit my phantom button and it's going to send a pet over there to deal with it. It's going to get aggro on me. Come on, you ad, you're mine. I don't want it attacking extraneous people. And X target 3. Now, X target 3 is a little different. So first, let me show you this key. So X target 3 is a little different. It's going to hit X target 2, but if there's an X target 3, it will hit X target 3. If there's no X target 3, it will hit X target 2. I'm targeting 1. If there's no 2 and there's no 3, and I just want to use this, and why not, then it will go for 1. But in this case, right now I'm targeting 1. I hit Fury Lock, and it's going to send a pet over there to attack that X target 3. So I can kind of deal with 2 and 3, give them a lot of hate, a lot of aggro immediately, and it puts me back on 1. The way the key is set up, I'm back on 1 attacking. It doesn't take any time, and it's a quick way to deal with ads that come up that might be a threat to your party. Well, let's see what we've got here. We've got precision and expanse. I usually run with precision unless I'm going to know I'm going to need that area of effect aggro. I don't want area of effect aggro unless I want area of effect aggro. There's a lot of times I work with tight situations where we group up, and I just want to kill one mob with precision, get out, for a quest or whatever we're doing. But if I'm in a situation where we're just pulling lots of mobs, then I would just take this and swap it. But if I'm doing tight work, then we go with precision. It's your choice. They're both nice. Shield Rupture. Shield Rupture is our synergy. It puts a buff on the party. And it's nice. It's nice. But here's the thing. If you're holding aggro, unlike a lot of synergy thing, you do not necessarily have to worry about keeping this synergy buff that gives all the people extra damage. You can use it selectively, and that is a part of my concept of not necessarily pushing buttons constantly just because you can. So shield area taunt, we've already covered with that. Blast of Anger is in my mash line. Brace for Impact, as I said, we keep that down. Call of Challenge is kind of a weak crowd control situation. You can snare mobs with it. It repops about every 14 seconds or something. Let's look. Every 10 seconds. So it refreshes real often. It gets resistant sometimes. In my little fancy here, I'll throw Call of Challenge on X target 2. Maybe we back away, somebody else deals with it, or maybe I'm trying to split some mobs. There's things you can do with that. So it's there. Do what you want with it. Gut Punch. Gut Punch is in my mash line. It is an aggro generator, a nice aggro generator. So I put it in the aggro portion. If I'm not trying to generate aggro, then of course I've just been hitting the mash line. This button down here. Imperator's command is beautiful. Love it. That commands all group members to fight harder. It reduces the cast time of spells with a mana cost by 40%. So it'll bump them up to the 50% cap, I guess. And more magical effects, increases magical health, increases attack speed by 40. Where do I put this? I put it in one of my burn keys that I hit liberally. Whenever I feel like hitting it, I hit it. And if you have a discipline up, then this won't go on. But there it is. You've got these, and I have a burn 2 key, very similar, a little bit of duplication, and that works with a number of things, and I'll show you that. So blast of anger, call of challenge, gut punch, da 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 da, knee strike. Knee strike is in my mash line in the social hotkey, the one I use when I'm not so worried about aggro. This reduces her avoidance. It triggers a snare, so it's a cool little thing to throw in there. Mark of the Mage Hunter. If you get in a situation where spell damage AEs are pretty high, it'll help a little bit. Go for it. Have it. Know about it. I've got it right here. This is sort of stuff that doesn't come up all the time, but it's there. Armor of Experience, Dragon Glyph, Staunch Recovery, Intensity of the Resolute. Bash, just to see that it's going down. Invite key, where I can just invite a group right away if it's the same name. Number pad 0, that's my invisibility. Cloudy Potions. I always use number pad 0 as my invisibility key. So now we have press the attack. In the group situation, I don't see press the attack coming out very often. It's supposed to move the mob a little bit. It does. Maybe in a raid where you have to move, you've got grappling strike, you press the attack. Those things don't do much for me. Resplendent Glory. Um, Effectives incoming healing spells. Okay, I have one hotkey. A lot of people split this up, but this is I'm going low health. They're not keeping up. I hit this, and it's going to throw the kitchen sink at it, and hopefully, brace for impact will already be done, but it's hopefully going to give the cleric or the shaman enough time to keep me up in a hot situation. You can do those different. I just choose not to think about it. I put them all together. Spire of the Warlord, that's in the burn key I showed you. Warcry in the burn key I showed you. Warlord's Bravery is over here. It's a nice little, it's equivalent to the Anguish Breastplate, which this warrior does not have. I am going to get that. It's a priority, but I have to go do all that faction work and make an Anguish run on this guy because it's never got it. But this is a poor man's Anguish. Gives you 15% for 105 hits for 48 seconds. Warlord's Fury, I generally use that as a pulling tool. Because it has a nice 200-foot range, and it gets instant aggro. Warlord's Grasp is really a nice chunky aggro generator. 100,000. So I have Warlord's Grasp down here. I definitely could see a situation for keeping that separate to use it, but it refreshes every 45 seconds, and I'd like to use it more rather than less. Really good aggro. Warlord's Resurgent, that's in my emergency key. Warlord's Tenacity. I actually have Warlord's Tenacity in my climactic stand. No, I have Warlord's Resolve in there because I want to, if I'm hitting climactic stand, I want a little extra defense in there. Ageless Enmity, beautiful, great. This is the modern taunt key as far as I'm concerned. It refreshes every 3 minutes. So you can save that. I don't save the taunt key because, when you get the right AAs, you're already doing some additional. Here's the thing. We have so many aggro generators here. We're not back in the TLP era. The pop era, where you save this because you just are lacking on aggro generators and you use it at the right time. Now, people, if you want to save it. I mean, that's certainly, there's still warriors who'll give you that advice. To me, I just pop this thing all the time, and it's part of my aggro rotation because remember, if you have all the AAs, it's doing more than just the taunt. Let's see, Battle Leap. I have 2 attack keys. The very basic attack key, Breather, Vigorous Defense, and then the fun one. It's essentially, I call it Find the Mob, and it's when I need to attack X target 1, but it's not, where the hell is it? And so I just Say I'm back here and I'm trying to find it, but I'm just not. So then I don't have to find the mob. I'm on the mob. I'm on the mob. I'm attacking the mob. And so that's what I do here. So I have 2 attack keys because basically you don't want to be leaping every time because it's a pain in the ass for the group with you. But you've got it when you need to get to the mob right away. Rampage, I showed you. Furious Leap, it's a really cool ability for some classes, and I suppose I could set up a key where I hit it and then I invis, but I'm a warrior. I'm not using it too often. Battle Leap, okay, Warrior Furious Leap. Then we got Grasping Strike. I told you about that. That's a beautiful aggro generator. It's not like it's pulling the mob to you. There's a lot of stuff that says instant. It will come to you. The mob will come if it can. Howl of the Warlord is my escape key over here. Tack off, pet get lost, pet swarm leave, just in case, because there are situations where I may try and split something, and so I may use my pets to occupy a couple mobs and pull one away, and then I'll hit Howl of the Warlord, and then I'll do that. Well, if you still have your pets attacking, Howl of the Warlord doesn't do much. So find Howl of the Warlord, use item Cloudy Potion if you want to be invisible. So there's that. Projection of Fury, you know how I use that. Rage of Zalos is in my burn key. Extra magical attacks. Let me see where it is. It's in burn key 2. Vehement Rage, I don't think it does much, but I threw it in there. Razor Tongue Discipline, got that. And then Intensity of the Resolute. So those are my toolboxes. The toolbox, that's how I use pretty much all of them, or have made a decision not to use it. The rest is just, Throne of Heroes. Oh, as I told you, when I get ready to go, I hit this and it'll, put whatever needs to be put up there in terms of the long-term buffs. Block heals. If I'm working with a living player character, I unblock my heals. You've seen the heal keys. I did a video of that, and you can just cut and paste from the information below if you want those hotkeys. This is the unblock heal one. Active. Okay, so I put my Merc on passive. He's on passive. If active makes my mercenary active, of course. And the way I do that is stance balanced. Okay, if I'm a free-to-play player and I have an apprentice cleric, he's not going to have reactive. He's just going to have balance. This is a general hotkey I use for all my characters. Aggressive, stance aggressive. If I'm using a tank, stance burn. If I'm using a melee, DPS mercenary, and then finally stance reactive. If I'm using a cleric, it's only going to use what you have. So if you have here, we have balanced and reactive. So when I hit, let's say it's passive. When I hit that, it's going to go balanced. Let's see, balanced and then reactive, but it'll end up on reactive. That's to make sure that my cleric is healing me. And then, I have my stances. And what I feel, if I'm going to shield, then I want something up to protect me. Climactic stand, but if that's down, at least vigorous defense. If for some reason, say I was using the two-handed and I don't have any disciplines up, and then I switch to standard, it's going to instantly put up a defensive disc for me. And that's my warrior system. And here I want to talk about why it's chill. You do not have to constantly press these keys. Once you've got aggro locked on you, you brought the mob, you're attacking it. So I hit, let's see. So I start attacking. I hit the P key maybe once. And then if it's locked on, I'm not pressing any buttons. I'm going to be doing some sweet damage. And I don't do anything. The mob's here, and if it looks like I need more aggro here, I will hit. Defensive. I start hitting my defensive line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Number pad 1, 2, 3. The Y and the U keys change. Right now, it could cycle through NPCs, but if I was on my cleric, I might change it to cycle through extended target or through corpses. And I might have a corpse button here and a nice setup where it, cycles through the various corpses, drags it nearby, and we res it. The Y and the U key are keys that I use for like specific quests when you need to say certain things again and again. Those are my essentially like you have two spells where you'll swap out. Well, those are hotkeys that I swap out depending on what the needs of my particular mission are. It's not a great system. It's not meant to be the perfect grouping system. This is meant to be. I haven't pressed a button, and I have two warrior weapons. They're generating a lot of hate. Now, if we're doing lots of mobs at once, maybe I need to do some area attack. Maybe I hit AE taunt. No problem with that. Or AE damage. So I might hit AE taunt. I'll hit AE damage. I hit the P key. And that keeps the endurance up, so I'm ready to go. And it keeps my focus right now here, but I can back away. I'm looking at what's going on. I'm trying to keep track of other people. My focus is not on hitting every button that I can every minute. The focus is on hitting the button I need to hit when I need to hit it. Otherwise, this is meant to be a chill, old school. I'm playing a warrior. I don't have to be attacking all the time. And so we turn off. Okay, so you notice this is on. The reason I have melee attack there is simply to give me a visual, because sometimes for whatever reason, you'll have melee attack on and you don't know about it. Well, I can turn it on or turn it off using Q. I can replenish my arrows whenever I need to. That drops right in the right spot. That's my system. It's very easy. It's very chill. But it required a lot of work to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope that you get something useful out of this.